So this is our video response for SJ on how we got into homebrewing. Going way, way back.
Oh, back in the day.
Yeah, well,
back in the day.
Before you were around, I drank some beer a little bit in high school, but I went to a trip through Europe at 18, and in Switzerland I got pulled onto a stage for a yodeling contest, which turns out it was a beer guzzling, then yodeling contest. They're going to play with alcohol, and they gave me this big giant, I mean literally this big glass. I remember touching it, it was like room temperature, like, oh my God, I'm going to be sick. And I start drinking it, and my mother was really against alcohol, you know, but it was good. So now I'm chugging on this thing. I get back to the States and say to my buddy, the beer here tastes like crap, you know. And he goes, look, if I wanted to taste, I'd be drinking a Coke. And you know, pretty much at that point I decided I wasn't drinking beer anymore, and I didn't drink beer until...
you were drinking beer, what, in the 1970s? Sad times.
Yeah, I didn't drink beer until I'd moved to Oregon. Christian was in, I think, 2nd or 3rd grade, 4th grade maybe, by the time I finally tried it. And
what, you found Full Sail?
No. It was locally we have this chain called McMenamins.
Oh, that's right, McMenamins.
And at that time, they were brewing everything on the premises. They didn't have a centralized place doing it.
I don't think McMenamins owned the Roadhouse yet.
They did, actually. Did they? And so I went there, and every week there'd be 1 or 2 different brews besides the regular ones. So I had buddies that invited me out, and I said, I'm not having beer. And I've had beer in Europe, and until I go back to Europe, I'm not having beer. But I tried these microbrews, like, wow. So our path towards beer was microbrews, was moving to Oregon and having all these incredible breweries. I don't know when you started drinking beer.
18 months?
That was the Bartles and James. That was a mistake, and I've never been able to live that down.
I don't know, whenever he handed me my first beer, because I know it wasn't on my own terms.
I put a Bartles and James on the ground as I was watching the Lakers playing basketball, and Christian was 1.5, crawled over, took the ball, laid back like it was a bottle, and drank about 1/3 of it before his mother yelled at me, and then he proceeded to do the happy dance, and he'd been looking forward to happy dance ever since then. So. Yeah. Anyway, the bad parent story.
Yeah.
But,
well, let's see here. For me, it was ever since I was 21. First thing I did was buy good beer. I never bought crappy beer. It was the standard set from my dad, and I'd always said, you know, I had a buddy that was at work, and he said he'd been homebrewing, and I tried one that was supposed to be like the Widmer Hefeweizen. I was like, that's damn good beer. And so ever since then, I talked about it. And I was in school full-time and married and working full-time and in an internship. And so on my birthday, they were like, hey, guess what? Here's a brewing kit. Because I've been talking about it so long. Guess what? We didn't brew for a year.
So in December of 2010, Christian's birthday, a bunch of us went in, me and his stepbrother, and we bought him a brewing kit. And
I was excited.
And he was excited, but he was so busy with life between job and internship and everything else and fixing up a house. We finally only honestly broke it out the beginning of February of this year, 2012.
Yeah. I was clearing out my house because I got divorced. Saves a lot of time. More time for brewing, that is.
And he brought it over to my house and said,
let's do it.
We're brewing. And granted, the grains had been sitting around for...
Because it was a partial mash.
It was a partial mash. So the grains had been sitting around for a little over a year, and we'd had the hops frozen, and it was a... So there was the mix, you know.
You've seen our
liquid
first
malt.
video. You know.
Well, if you watch the one where it's like those big floaties in it, that was the first beer we made. And I'm sure it was infected, but It tasted kind of like an
Guaranteed.
Oktoberfest. We had some few bottles before we dumped it all, but it did discourage us, and we went on to start making brews. But yeah, literally, we only started brewing in February of 2012, and it's been a fun journey. And the funny part about it was the instructions that came with this partial mash kit were like half of it was missing. It was very poorly done by a local homebrew place, and fortunately there are many others around here, but that we had to get on the internet to try to figure out how to do this, because the instructions were missing steps. And we found CraigTube, and we watched his videos and kind of half-assed our way through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
then said we could do that.
And this was one of his early videos. We said, yeah, we can make a video. We could do this as well as this dude's doing it. And so our very second brew that we made, we put up on the web as a homebrew. We put it on the web, and then SJ contacted us and said, hey, you need to put Homebrew Wednesday on the front of these, and you'll get more people in. So what an awesome community of people, though. So. But that's kind of our story.
That's it, and that's the Clemens Homebrew.
Yep. But you can see we jumped right in with the fermentation chamber and the whole bit.
A little bit of crazy in us.
We're loving it.